Hello, Narnach here. Welcome to Duskers. Before I start with this game, a very small disclaimer. This is the first game where I've actually gotten a review code to basically play the game for free and give my opinion and share it with the world. So I'm slightly excited about this one, but as I emailed back to the developer, I did say, that's all fine, but on my channel I only feature games I actually like. So if the game is stable and fun to play, I'll feature it. If the game is either buggy as hell or just absolutely no fun, then I'll give you feedback, but I'm not going to feature it on my channel. The fact that you're seeing this means that I liked the game and that it was actually playable. So with that small disclaimer out of the way, let's have a look. What the heck is Duskers? For a large part, it's a roguelike. Or roguelite, or however you classify it these days. There's also some puzzle and strategy elements to it. So you pilot a salvage ship, and you have up to 4 drones with you that you send into spaceships to salvage. And those drones can all be upgraded with different modules. But those ships that you're salvaging, they're not always empty. So, let's generate a galaxy. So, after the tutorial, the entire game is randomly generated. And this is the state where you enter. So, you're low on fuel. You are the only member of your crew. So, this is the current system that got generated. I spawned on top of a ship that I can salvage. It's a class salvage A, so it's bound to have some salvageable scraps on board. So let's have a look at the drones that we got. So we have 3 drones, one called Mouse, one called Sarah, and one called Twiki. The drones are randomly generated, the names are random, their starting health is random, their looks are slightly random, and more importantly, the modules they carry with them, they're also random. So Mouse has a lure with 6 out of 6 charges in there and a gatherer. Sarah has a generator, and Twiki has a tow and a motion module. So generator is important. The ship that you're boarding, it's basically an unpowered floating hunk of metal. But the rooms are still intact, but there's just no power. So if you have one of your drones with a power generator, it can plug into a power socket and power part of the ship. So you can actually open doors, and that's basically it. Open the doors and possibly open the airlocks to flush things into space. Twiki has a motion sensor. You don't always start with one, but it's very, very, very useful if you do. Because the motion sensor, as long as when Twiki uses the motion sensor, all the adjacent rooms will be scanned for motion. Enemies move. So if there's no motion, there will be a green layout. If there is motion, it will be bright, flashy yellow, red, and you know not to go there. Mouse has a gatherer module, which is also very, very, very useful because it allows you to pick up scraps. Twiki has a tow module, which allows you to tow back disabled drones and upgrades for your ship. And the lure is useful because you can plop it down into a room, then open up a door, and if there's an enemy in the adjacent room, it will actually go into the room with the lure and basically stay there for a bit. So you can use that to control where enemies are. Well, let's see. I do like, just to instantly start tweaking this, build up a slight bit of a preference for what I want in my drones. So a gatherer, a motion sensor, and a tow module are pretty decent. So then you can have one scout. The generator usually parks somewhere, and the lure is only for specific uses. So let's have Twiki be the backup drone that only has the lure, and Mouse will be our active drone. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's dive in. So here you can have once again the opportunity to change the layout of your drones. And we can board. So there's a bit of a backstory to the game, but it's basically something went wrong. Potentially something bad happened to the universe. There's potentially someone else alive and they're trying to communicate with you and you have no way to communicate back. And just trying to find them. That's the very brief backstory. It's basically you as the player are just as confused as the character that you are playing in the game. And as you play multiple games, you uncover more lore about the game. So this message is garbled. Something about automated responses, interference, heading to the nearest system, I'm presuming. So yeah, not really useful, that message. But at the top, let's see, scanning, inconclusive. Infestation types detected, we are not quite sure. Hull integrity, medium. So this is interesting. This is a pretty difficult derelict to start with. Okay, so this is the system overview. And if you hit space, then you can look from the point of view of your drones. So, mouse is number 1. So if you hit 1, you switch to mouse. If you press number 2, you switch over to Sarah, which is drone number 2. And the same goes for 3 with Twiki. And each of the drones has their own visual sensors, and they might be in different colors. And the drones also look differently. But they basically behave like vacuum cleaner robots. And I think the volume is a bit high. Let's see if we can fix that for a bit. So we still have the faint shimmering. Okay, so we have this one. Let's see. Whoa, that's an open door. Basically just scouting the room and hit space, and you can see we discovered some schematics. We have a room that's open. Let's see, let's navigate drone number 2 to room 2. So this game, it has direct controls, but it also has a command line interface. With command completion. The tutorial is really excellent in just teaching you how to use this. And it works pretty darn well. And on the Steam forums I actually read there's also a macro/alias system that you can use to automate some of the commands that you use a lot. So you can do things like send all your drones to a specific room, toggle doors while you're not controlling your specific generator drone, and all things like that. So let's see, have the mouse scout around a little bit. So let's see, and all the doors are closed. We've actually got a visual confirmation. So you can say gather all, then mouse will go through the room and pick up all the scraps and fuel that we found so far, which basically was this. So let's see, mouse has our motion sensor. So if I type motion, the motion sensor will start. And we saw that for rooms 2 and 3, the results were inconclusive. And for what's that? A question mark and a question mark, that's also the case. But we know that the rooms in the bottom, so that's rooms 7 and room 5, they are empty right now, and the doors to them are also closed. If we go a bit to the side, we see there's even more rooms connected to them, but all the doors are closed. And we even have an access hatch, A3. So what we could do is actually we close door 1 by typing A1. And we can actually say, okay, dock on A3. That will move our ship around, and it will redock on connector port A3. So if you now take the position from Twiki, we can say, okay, open up the door. We can have a look here. And we can do all of this while our other drone is scanning around for things that move. Oh, and we found a bot here. Let's see, let's get some info. What have we found so far? We have found a ship upgrade called the Transporter, which is useful because it allows you to teleport robots around. There's an access terminal, even though none of the bots actually has an interface upgrade to use that. There's a bit of scrap, and there's a drone called Cory, which is only disabled and not actually destroyed, so we can tow her back. Let's see, what does Cory have on her? Let's see, motion sensor, a shield, and an interface. Ooh, I'm liking this. So let's steal the interface module, steal the shield. You're not gonna use that in this mission anyway. Let's see, we'll give you the lure and we'll grab the motion sensor. And then Mouse just needs to drag her to the storage. So let's see, we can open up door 27 and say navigate drone number 1 to room number 5. And the drone called Mouse, which is number 1, will just dutifully move towards the corridor. Let's see, and we go back to number 1 and we tow Cory back. So we type tow, and then we just drag her along. So one of the things, I mean, this is it's an early access game. It went into early access last Thursday. Let's see, Anto. The game is surprisingly polished for an early access game. It's on par with games like TS 100, which I've also played quite a bit on my channel. That one was basically ready to go live. It was just that stable and fun to play, and they only made some minor changes to basically enhance the gameplay. And to a certain degree, Duskers feels similar. I haven't had it crash on me. I haven't had weird things happen. The only minor point is that this game is devilishly hard. Because, well, it's a roguelike, so random stuff happens. Let's see, tow the transporter back. Because random stuff happens. Your modules have a random chance to break. And that can sometimes happen with modules that you kind of need in the middle of the mission that you're using them in. So, drop off the module. But that's actually something that on the Steam forums the developer is actively searching feedback, and there is a discussion thread about this. And there are actually a number of very good suggestions on the table. So probably, maybe even by the time that you watch this video, that problem might have already been resolved, and the breaking of items might feel slightly less random to, give you at least a feeling that if something breaks, it's your own fault because you had a choice rather than it just happening to you. So let's see, we have our towbots here. Nice thing is, this one now also has a motion sensor. So if we say a motion, we start scanning, and we can use our bots that has both a gatherer and a tow to actually explore around. So open up number 13. Okay. We had an interface somewhere, didn't we? Yeah, bot number 3 has an interface. So we can use that to connect to this one. So we take over control of bot number 3 and we move over here. we interface with the system. So, interfacing with the system allows you some control over the ship's sensors and defenses. So we can say ship scan, which performs a more thorough scan of the adjacent rooms, and that will often reveal scrap that you missed because it was just too well hidden. And it might reveal some of the docks or connectors that you missed as well. Let's see, number 1, you can gather all. So that one will just go scouting through the room to pick up all the bits of scrap. Beep, 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 beep. Let's see, let's close the dock, by the way. Most of the time you want to keep as many doors closed as possible, so that if something goes wrong, problems can't spread. So we have, let's see, we can reopen up dock 27. We can navigate drone number 1 back to room 3. And then we can tell it to do its thing over there. Let's see, we don't have any defensive guns on the map, do we? No. Okay. So then we can say for number 1, gather all. And while we do that, let's take Twiki through door number 18. So I think there was a interface over here. So let's see. So we perform yet another ship scan. That's the same range. Okay, so that doesn't really help us. Okay. Let's try again in this corridor. Let's see, ship scan. Okay, so somewhere there's a room 8. That's to the top here, over here. And there was an enemy in there that's now killed. Cool. Make sure to deactivate the defenses, because the defenses basically shoot at everything that can potentially move, including your drones. Okay, so let's send our gatherer out there. Actually, let's see, D21. We can just say navigate drone 1 and 3 to room 2, and they will both move. So we can interface, and basically there's only one drone with the interface module, and it's in a room where it can interface, so that's where it will do that. Ship scan, nothing additional. Well, we know something got killed in here, so we can just open this, and there is the corpse of the enemy. This is a purple drone with a gun on it, from the looks of it. Let's see, that's a motion sensor. Oh, let's see, motion from drone number 1. And there's something bad in room number 6. Okay, let's get out. So this is where the puzzle element comes in. I know there's something bad in room 6. So let's see, we can reactivate the motion scanner on number 1. That gives us a scan of that room. Then I'm jumping over to this one. Let's see, if we open, we say defenses. So the gun is now activated again. If we hit door 5, at some point the enemy in room 6 is going to wander over and get shot by the gun. Might take a little bit, but most of the time, yes, enemies are rather curious. Well, it's just a single defense, not defenses. Okay, so that's drone number 1 is currently scanning. Drone number 2 is providing power, so let's use drone number 3 for scanning at the moment. And let's go into this room. Let's interface, perform a ship scan. once again, there's nothing to scan. Okay. So we have secured part of the ship, but there's still a rather large part of the ship unexplored. So let's move over a drone. So to the current level of scanning here. Actually, what we could do, we are still scanning, so that's a reason I'm slightly cautious. If you move this a drone that's scanning, it stops scanning, and your motion scanners have a limited number of charges. So I tend to park them and then see if I can use other drones to fulfill objectives until I actually need the drone again that has the motion sensor. So, but if we now close door 20 and we open up door 6, if there's something on the other side, it's going to wander into room 6, and we will know because we are scanning it. If there's nothing there, nothing will ever actually happen there. So that's the interesting bit. But given that nothing has wandered in yet, I'm willing to take the risk. Let's have a look. This is the roguelike aspect of the game. It's a random world. You're trying to just discover everything as you go. The only certainty you have is that just about everything is trying to kill you. Interface is not powered. Yeah, we need to find a power socket on this part of the ship. So that gets interesting. Okay, well at least we managed to scan this one. So we can close it. And I like how the rooms where you have actually performed full scans, there's a grid layout. So you know that you have found all the scraps and things over there. Everything where you actually had visual confirmation, there's a double outline for the wall. And rooms, for example, like this door, you know, you haven't seen it, you haven't gone through it, so it has a dotted outline. So that's a good way for yourself to see where have I been and where haven't I been just yet. So let's head down here. Close up the door again. So let's move our motion sensor robot. Let's see, navigate robot 1 into room 5 again, because then this one has a lot of connections. So if you set it to scan, with a bit of luck, we should be able to see what's up there. Actually, if we keep them in room 3, we can scout most of the surrounding rooms as well. Okay, navigate room 1 back to room 3. And then we tell drone 1 to use the motion sensor. Oh. Motion 1 couldn't scan while moving. Okay, so there's a couple of rooms that have some issues with scanning. That's not good. Let's see. Let's move on. If we can't scan from one direction, let's try another angle. So let's use a motion scanner from here. And again, we have no clue what's happening in that tiny room over here or in the big rooms up there. So we're blind. Inconclusive results don't necessarily have to indicate that there are enemies in there, but they might. Okay, so we don't have powers. We don't have a power supply to open up these doors. That's the biggest challenge we have at the moment. Here's our power supply. We don't want enemies in here. So if we have a weapon in here, we need to get enemies in here. But the only way to get here is either through this room and then basically that room, but the doors are closed, so we can't do that. So the only other alternative is to get things through this room, which is where our power lies. That's a bit of a problem. Okay, so we're gonna have to take a little bit of risk. Usually, when you take risks, things don't go quite well. We had a lure, didn't we? Yes, because that's on the drone here. We put a lure on there. So we can swap the modules. And let's say we take the toe out and put a lure on our mouse. The nice thing about the lure is that it will attract enemies to it. So if we, and it will be basically consumed after the enemy has been lured. So if there's anything, it will come towards the lure, and if it's consumed, we know something actually bounced on top of it. So we can use that to our advantage. Alternatively, we can try to lock, lock the door. Lock a monster in a room, because that's also a very good way to get rid of it. So here we have a lure. Open it. We put down a lure. Nice fishing hook. So now we know if a monster comes into this corridor, the lure is nearby, so it should get dragged over there. So we can take our motion sensing mouse over here. Let's see, motion 1. So we're scanning both of the rooms now, so now we can say, okay, door 28. Open yourself. And if something was in that room, yes, like that, it entered the corridor. And with a bit of luck, that corridor should empty out and the monster should move into the small room with the lure. And at that point we can close the door and we have it trapped. Like so. Sweet. So now we know, because we're scanning, that the corridor is clear. Let's see, let's also close that one, because I'm getting slightly antsy about that. We can... Let's see, drone 3 is not doing anything. Oh, I want to move past, so that's it. That way, close it again. Let's see, still active, so D27, open the door. Close the door. And because we are nearby, we get a layout scan. And we have a power module. Sweet. So, we close the door because we're paranoid. And we can say open up door 9, open up door 21, and navigate drone 2 to room 10, which we just scouted. So, our power source is moving, so we temporarily lost our ability to manipulate doors. So hook up the generator and we get access to 2 whole rooms. That's not a lot. Let's see. Can we get a motion scan? Yes. Room 11 is clear. So, again, because we're paranoid, we close up this door. Go through. We go in. And there's an interface. So let's see, a ship scan. Only these 2 rooms. No new items found, no defenses, no nothing. Okay. We also have a motion scanner. Let's see, what can we scan? There is a room to the side that's empty. Sweet. Also, there seems to be an outline of a room over here that we can't actually scan. Same for a room up here. So this is interesting. Let's take this one room at a time. So we're going to move. Let's see. Open up the door there, and we navigate to room number 1 to to room 11. And there's actually no point in closing those doors again since we're all kind of bunched up. So what do we get? Room 33 is open. That's potentially a problem. So we're scanning. Ooh, we found another drone. Just making sure there's no enemies in here. Okay, this room seems mostly clear. Let's see, info. What's this? Got a power inlet, we got a destroyed drone. So what was the destroyed drone carrying? An interface module. That's actually pretty nice. Let's see, we know that we can go back to room 16. And Sarah only has a generator, so we give the alert to Sarah. We can go in here and grab the interface module from the drone that's not doing anything. Okay. So we have another docking point here. We have one room here, and there is a uncertain amount of rooms up here. Could be one very large room, or it could be multiple 2 or 3 rooms that are just connected to each other. Let's see. Use our motion scanner. We have one room up there that's clear. So, but we can't do a lot with it. So let's navigate drone number 2 to room 13 and provide power from up there. Okay, so there were multiple rooms up there. Only one of which we know to be clear. So let's see, open up. Okay, there are 2 doors that are closed, so we can scout the room. There's an interface module in the back. It's not powered. Brilliant. So use our motion sensors, and once again we can't actually scan anywhere. This is tricky. Small rooms. Potentially there's a jackpot in there, but we have no way to find out in a risk-free manner. This is, to me, this is the trade-off for the motion sensors. On the one hand, they give you safety. On the other hand, that safety acts as a crutch, because you get very risk averse. You only scan, you go into rooms when you scan. You get a really cautious, almost paranoid mindset. I had a previous game where I didn't get a motion sensor. All I got was a stealth module. Then you get a totally different sort of gameplay, because you can't sense enemies before you go in. So rather than being all cautious and paranoid, you do stand in front of the door, activate your stealth module, open up the door, see if anything charges you, and if it doesn't, you just slowly go into the room and see if there's no enemies in there. So you have more of a sneaking about type of attitude. Leads to a totally different type of gameplay with the same game. So I like that about this game. Let's see, but I think for now this video has been going on for quite a bit. And there is no pain without gain, or something like that. So let's see. If we see anything move, we close the door. And but we don't have to. Cool. So I already had the command to close the door behind me typed. Let's see, so if we move down, repeat the trick. Once again, no enemies. Cool. Well, let's see, interface. Ship scan, nothing new found. Okay, so we can open up the door as well there, just to make it easy for ourselves to get through everywhere. Let's see, we can say open up room. Ooh, we have very, very little tiny room in the bottom there. So I was hoping for a slightly smaller level to begin with, but random nature of the game. Can't argue with that. It's the strength of the game. In terms of making a video, it might be slightly tricky. This looks like a vent. Potentially bad stuff can come out of vents. Let's close up the door. Swarms of enemies. They're tiny enough to go through the vent holes. Let's see, we have a few rooms unexplored. So let's see, navigate our generator back to room number 10. Let's see, to generate. We got access to a couple more rooms. So we still have our one drone there dutifully scanning. Actually, say we close that door. So if we have a problem with this one, retreat to door number 15. Let's see, we close up door number 16 for now. So we have a bit of space to run around in, but there's no way for our other drones to get attacked from behind. Let's see, door 25. Door 25. No. Scrap. And it's an empty RAM. Ooh, fuel. Nice. So navigate drone 1 to room 17. Open up the door. And it still has the same order to go there, so that's nice. The orders actually stick. Is there an interface in here? Yeah. Let's see, interface while the other one gathers. We can do the interface is not powered because this room is not powered. Ah, yes. So we managed to scoop up quite a bit of things. And we have one room remaining. Mysterious final room. Let's see. Let's see. Motion sensor. Oh, of course, it doesn't do anything yet. That's what makes it tricky. Let's see. We have ways to route ourselves around. So if we open up, close door, basically close all the doors into room 11. And we say open up door 8. If there's anything in that room over here, that's behind door 24, then our motion sensors will pick it up once it goes through. If that doesn't happen in the nearby future, chances are we are good. Okay. This is me assuming things are good now. And we have a power socket in here. So let's see, open up door 26. navigate drone 2 to this room. And we have now explored all the rooms in the ship. Relatively sure that there's no more enemies in here. Let's see. Hook up a generator. So we have another couple of rooms that are now powered. So interface. Wait, it's called ship scan. And just performing this scan actually revealed an extra portion of scraps. So let's see, we can navigate the drone over there. There was drone 1 of the gathering. Let's see, interface, didn't actually run a scan yet. No, nothing new. Cool. Okay, so we sent drone 3 into room 9, open up door 10 and door 23. Then we can say drone 1, which has the gatherer module. You navigate over to, what's this room called? Room 16. For some gathering duty. Interface for drone 3. Beep, beep, beep. And then we say ship scan. Nothing to scan. Gather all. That's all drone 1 can do. Okay. Then I think that is everything we could scan for now. So let's see, dock on A4. So we move the ship. And then let's see, all the drones can get there. I think there was a macro predefined. Oh, let's see, open up A4. So now all the drones are heading home. And once all the drones are back into my salvage ship, I can close the door, exit it, and the mission is over. So this is basically the very first level of a typical salvaging mission. You got 3 drones, you got a solid set of modules. So, I mean, this is my 3rd playthrough that I'm starting, and yeah, I haven't actually started without the tools to survive yet. It's just that as you go further, you have to take risks. You know, just like I could safely explore the first bit, set up a trap to lure an enemy in here, use the guns to shoot an enemy in here, but this top part of the ship, the motion sensor didn't reveal anything about it, so I had to make a choice, I had to make a judgment call. Was going into unknown territory worth the risk of the potentially what I could find there? And we did find a module over there, so it was useful to grab it. And there was a bunch of salvage here. So it's a risk-reward trade-off that you're making. And sometimes you're lucky. I was lucky this time. There was no enemies in here. I only found good stuff. So I left in a better state than I was before I made the judgment call. Other times, things might end poorly. That you do go in and there's a swarm of enemies in there and you lose your scouting drone. That is the only one that has a gatherer on him. So then you're stuck. Let's see, exit this mission. Let's see, we got a tow module acquired. Yeah, because we shuffled some things around. So yeah, that's okay. So we did some shuffling, but we ended up with a transporter for our ship. So we can equip that one. And that allows to transport drones between rooms. And that's basically a ship-based upgrade, which is nice. Let's see, drone config. We have Corey, which needs to be repaired. Let's see, we can do the modifications. Corey, do a full repair. Execute that. So the scrap that we found, basically most of it we used now to repair Corey, so we have a 4th drone. Let's see, drone config. So this one now only has a tow module. which I think used to be on another ship. That was on the gatherer one. Yeah. So tow modules are useful, but maybe we should just add that one to this one. Let's see, I will also add the lure. So if we turn Cory into more of a combat drone, so to say. It has a shield, so it's protected from attacks. Well, up to a certain degree. It has lures, so it can place them, but we can, use this one if things go really bad to make daring runs. And if we lose Cory, we don't lose any critical modules. We have an empty space on here to store things if we do happen to find another drone. So that's one wreck looted, and once you have entered the wreck, you can never go back. So you could leave early without exploring all the rooms, but that potentially means losing behind stuff that you can never ever find back. So next up is another wreck, and basically you keep doing that for as long as possible within a system, or until you run out of propulsion fuel. And you have the option to jump between systems. So your propulsion is for navigating within a system. Then you have jumps between systems in the galaxy, and there is even a universe map, though we don't know anything about the universe yet, but it does hint that there's more things to explore and more places to go. Let's see. But that's it for now. So this was a new thing for me. Just looking at a game that wasn't actually on my radar yet, but the fact that the developer approached me, and I actually did like the game, so that's a nice thing. There's an interesting mix of things in here, and depending on what your drones have equipped, you really play the game differently. That's something I really like. So there's this paranoia, or just this daring, this sense of exploration, setting up traps, trying to outsmart the enemies, trying to control the situation even though you don't really have a lot of control, just dealing with randomness and trying to make the best of it. As I said, this is my third game that I'm starting. Both of the previous games, I think I managed to loot 5 or 6 wrecks before I lost all my drones. Basically, that's because I tend to get a bit too reckless. Want to explore everything, want to complete it, don't want to leave anything behind, and that's when you start losing drones. But there's such a potential for upsides, such a potential for gains that I just can't help myself. So with that, I thank you very much for watching, and depending on how much feedback I get on this video, I might even make a let's play out of this and continue with this very safe game and see how far we can go. So with that, please do hit the like button if you enjoyed this and want to see a let's play. Give me a shout out in the comments. That also works to just confirm that you really do want to see that let's play. Yeah, I think that's it for now. So I hope to hear from you and see you next time. Oh, and also details for the game, as with most of my videos. In the comments you can find a link to the developer's website, the Steam page, and all of that good stuff. So with that, I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.